Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Disney selling to Apple. It's something which has been floated around for quite a while. I'd done some videos on it a couple of years ago, and then we did it I think there was another video last year as well. But this is something which, the rumour has steam for a reason, because it's looking more and more and more likely. Now, they won't sell Disney proper to Apple, unlikely anyway, but the film division, there's the high potential chance of that because it doesn't make money. It has not been making money, or at least aspects of it. Disney Plus, for instance, 14 billion and more down the drain. Disney Plus doesn't make the money. There's multiple aspects of the film sort of media divisions anyway, sorry about that just doesn't generate cash. It's bleeding money. And Apple wants a piece of that pie. A piece of that apple pie, you might say. So let's dive into this today, ladies and gents. This is part of a Hollywood Reporter article, but it's parroting things that we already know, repeating them again, repackaging them, but then also adding a little bit more context because of the earnings call and the state of Disney at this point in time. So it's interesting stuff, or at least I find it interesting, and that's why I'm talking about it. So now hit subscribe if you're new here, folks. Hopefully you do. Hopefully you enjoy the video and you'll give the video a like as well and a share. So the title is, a Disney sale to Apple. Don't count it out this time. Facing the staggering problems affecting all legacy studios, is Bob Iger contemplating a once unthinkable option? The signals he sent to Sun Valley suggested it could happen. Now this was, released yesterday amidst the earnings call. It's important to note they did address it on the earnings call, and they said it's not, I quote, "it's not something we obsess about." Not a no, though. Not something we obsess about is the most vague, nondescript response you could possibly imagine with such a magnitudinal element to discuss. You're talking about, am I going to sell my film studio to Apple? That's not something we obsess about. No, absolutely not. That's not something we obsess about. Meaning, we could do. It's in the works. It's all in line. It's going to happen. It's planned. It's not something we obsess about. I mean, that could mean anything. Absolutely anything. So let's take a look, right? A few weeks before Bob Iger sat down for that CNBC interview in which he said that Disney's linear TV networks like ABC and FX may not be core to the company's business, a veteran Hollywood executive mused to the Hollywood Reporter on the possibility of a deal that would rock the industry, Apple buying Disney. It's an idea that keeps being discussed. Even though many top executives have scoffed at it, and many still do, Apple doesn't want to buy the studio, they say, and there's no way the feds would allow a huge deal like that to go through. But this source, this observer, wasn't so quick to rule it out. I don't think Apple would buy the company as it presently exists, so exactly what I've just been saying. But if you see Bob start to divest things, that feels like he's prepping for a sale, and there's clearly no buyer like Apple. That's the thing, when you're looking at the prospect of Disney selling things, who can buy it? Who can buy it? No studio has the money or the capital at the point in time. Warner Brothers is in debt. They're clearing it, but they don't have that much money. Lionsgate just bought E1 from Hasbro. Legendary, they don't have loads of capital. Skydance just secured a new deal, $1 billion deal for financing with JP Morgan, but they don't have the capital. Universal, maybe. Paramount, no. All these companies, they don't have the capital. So what company does? Not a film studio. Apple. So that's why it keeps getting talked about, because there is no buyer quite like Apple. Who else would buy it? No one is able to buy this. So not long after that, Iger went on television and hung a possibly for sale sign on the Disney's TV businesses, and just like that, it was a little more possible to see the outlines of a slimmed down Disney that could be a tempting acquisition target. There's clearly no buyer like Apple, which is sitting on $62 billion in cash and cash equivalents and has a 2.8 trillion market cap. And while it may be very true that Apple doesn't want to buy a studio, maybe it would want to buy this studio, the one that, despite the challenges at the moment, has a vault full of priceless IP and remains the most valuable brand in entertainment. I'd argue that they once did, they don't now. And there's been a long-standing special relationship between Disney and Apple. Steve Jobs served on Disney's board of directors from 2006 until his death in 2011, and Iger joined Apple's board shortly after Jobs died. He resigned from that position September 10th, 2019, the same day Apple officially announced that it was getting into the content business through its Apple TV Plus service. So some Hollywood executives have been anticipating a future in which the studio herd will continue to thin dramatically. There will end up being 3 or 4 platforms and everybody else gets hollowed out and acquired, says one industry veteran. There'll be Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and one other. If you could put NBC Universal, Warner's and Paramount together, you probably have enough to survive. The feds might have something to say about any version of that potential combination, and if Iger sees the world the same way, finding a home for Disney could be a temptation. There is only one way that Iger leaves Disney now with a great legacy, and that is actually selling Disney. Because if he hadn't come back, I think most people would say that Bob Iger was one of the best CEOs of all time. Now, you know, you can argue that that's not the case, but he had presided over the acquisition of like Lucasfilm. There's like elements of the business like Marvel, the most profitable franchise of all time, all manner of things. But then he left. The things which he had definitely established are, you know, coming home to roost, and it's the downfall of Disney. But he's come back now, so he's reaping what he sows. And because of that, now his legacy is tarnished. If he hadn't come back, you could probably get away with saying, oh yeah, he was the best, blah, 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 blah. So the only way he leaves with a legacy intact now, I believe, is by selling Disney to Apple. Because that would go down in history. That would be the history books. So multiple sources say that Iger, having returned to the CEO job in November, has never faced more stress. Not only is he confronting an industry in transition, but much of the team that was with him in the good years is no longer at the company. General Counsel Alan Braverman and Film Studio Chief Alan Horn have retired. CFO Christian McCarthy, having gotten a bit too close to Bob Chapek during his tenure as CEO, is gone after 23 years at the company. And this may explain Iger's rapprochement with former top Disney executive Kevin Mayer and Tom Staggs, both of whom were passed over for CEO, but who have recently been named as consultants to the company. So it's not looking good. You know, other holdings like Disney Channel, Disney Junior would seem to be of minimal value without the larger company's content and backing. And FX, without the programming hand of John Landgraf, his team would seem to be devalued as well. One knowledgeable observer predicts that Disney will load those assets with debt and sell to private equity. He believes properties which could be expected to generate $7 billion a year in profits would sell for $50 billion. Disney's linear networks generated $8.5 billion in profits in fiscal 2022, though that is expected to decline as cord cutting continues. Disney could put $25 billion of Disney debt on the deal, cutting its debt load to $20 billion. Again, they are not in a great position. They're just not. The company's already mulling over a sale of the India businesses that it acquired from Fox, and it would not be surprising to see a sale of its majority stake in Nat Geo. They are just ripping themselves apart. The fact that Disney CEO Bob Iger was on stage touting Apple's Vision Pro goggles demonstrates the compelling strategic fit between Disney's content and Apple's wearable technology. So there is an element where this could work, I think, personally. There's a lot here to push it out as looking like highly likely that is what they want to do. There's a lot more to this article, but it's not that interesting. It's just talking about sales, whether it's a feasible option. But it's a feasible option if they choose to segment the business, basically, and then buy off in portions, or sell off in portions, should I say. So let me know what you think down below. I think this is becoming more and more potentially high, or high potential, whatever way you want to say it. So let me know down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It doesn't mean they're going to be any better, but it's still an interesting thing, and it will shake the industry massively so. So let me know what you think down below. Love to hear it. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye now.